Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to another movie review. And on reviewing another anniversary review. This time, marking of the 25th anniversary of another great '90s action film, released in 1992, so 25 years later. Really love this film. And it is considered one of Steven Seagal's best films, one of his most popular, one of his best films, and I love the film. And for the reviewing for the 20th anniversary of Steven Seagal's one of his best films, Under Siege. So like I said, released in 1992. Oddly enough, released in October, weirdly enough. And the film performed well critically and box office wise. Has a 6.5 IMDb, has a 75% Rotten Tomatoes, and it is still Steven Seagal's highest grossing film, which of course nowadays you can't make any film. So it is his highest grossing film. No other films has made that amount than this film has. Made about 150 million worldwide, and it's directed by Andrew Davis, who directed Steven Seagal for his first film, Above the Law, which I enjoy. And then the next year after this film, '93, he's going to direct The Fugitive with Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones. And I enjoy The Fugitive. And Andrew Davis did a great, like he did with Above the Law, and he did great with this film. And then you got one of the films that made it work is you had one of the best parts of the film is that you get your two bad guys, two villains, which I thought were absolutely great together. You got Tommy Lee Jones and you got Gary Busey. They were just great bad guys working together. Just really great. I love Tommy Lee Jones. I love Gary Busey. And this was during the height of Steven Seagal's career. You know, he was beginning to be very popular from the late '80s up to the '90s. Like all of his films, or his early films were hits, like Above the Law. Then you got Hard to Kill, Out for Justice, Marked for Death, and then he went big for, and it ends up his first big budget action film, and it was a hit. And everyone wanted more of Steven Seagal because this film was a huge hit. Sadly enough, well, to a lot of people, which I can understand though. But after this film, in 1994, he wanted to start and direct On Deadly Ground. That, to many people, considered the start of the downfall of Steven Seagal in his career and all that. Which a lot of people, I can understand that though, but I like On Deadly Ground. But because he hit his peak up to this, and then he went to do that film. Then the rest of the films that people started questioning Seagal and the film choices he's been doing now. Because On Deadly Ground, that flopped, and then '95 he tried to come back as Casey Ryback again in Under Siege 2: Dark Territory, which to me that's my favorite Steven Seagal film. I love this film though, but Under Siege 2: Dark Territory, that's my favorite Steven Seagal film because that was the first film that introduced me to Steven Seagal as well as my brother. We both love watching that film together all the time. That's definitely our favorite Steven Seagal film. It's one of our favorite action films as well. So that's why I love Dark Territory. But that film underperformed as well, and then he had that supporting role in Executive Decision. Then he did Undeadly Ground. He did Fire Down Below, and then started doing the first direct-to-video film he did was The Patriot. Then he did Exit Wounds. And then Half Past Dead was the last theatrical release film. Then he started doing his whole slew of like 50, 100 direct-to-video films. So yeah, sadly, because that's what people say. After this, and then his career started down since on daily ground. But I love Under Siege 2, and like I said, like it says best read on the back by Los Angeles Times. Die Hard on a battleship. That's what it is. It's another trendy thing of the Die Hards, like surrogates of other action films. Like I mentioned, Speed is like Die Hard on a bus. This film on a battleship. Then the sequel on a train, or you could say Executive Decisions, kind of like that on a plane. But basically those, like I said, those type of genres that are like Die Hard stuff, for action films. This is here, Die Hard on a battleship, high-tech thriller with laughs and thrills. And so Steven Seagal, he plays Casey Ryback, and they're on the battleship, the USS Missouri, which I like that it takes place on the battleship, which is supposed to be like USS Missouri. I think it is supposed to use the real USS Missouri. They did. I like that. It's like used on a real battleship. And the crew's like throw a surprise party for the captain. Gary Busey plays Commander Krill. He's like the commanding officers. And like Seagal is like, he doesn't like use a surprise party and all that, and for one moment that Gary Busey, the asshole commander, he spits in Steven Seagal's soup, and then it's like, flavor. You like that? And he like shoves him, and then the other guy's like, "Hey, that's a striking officer." And Casey Ryback's like, "Oh, come on, that's a striking officer. That's striking an officer." This smacks Gary Busey one, and he gets a lot put in the walk-in. I'm supposed to say, like the walk-in, and because he's like the captain's personal cook as well. So then they have this this guy stand guard him, which is actually that's the guy who plays one of the FBI agent, the U.S. Marshals in The Fugitive. Forget the guy's name though. He's in The Fugitive. He was that U.S. Marshal who had the ponytail. Tommy Jones like, "Don't get any shit about your ponytail either." It's like, "I will, sir." Yeah, it's that guy who is going to be in Under Siege next. The Fugitive, I meant to say. Because I know, I recognize him. He was one of the marshals from The Fugitive. And when the party's starting, with this chopper comes in, you have this band caterers. Tom Lee Jones is there, and you have Erika Eleniak playing Jordan Tate, who's like this Playboy model or some sort, and pretty young girl. And Gary Busey gives her some pills, and that's when she falls asleep. And when the party's going, Tom Lee Jones asking who's the highest ranking officer here, and then shoots him in the head, and then the whole thing, the whole bad guys take control of the ship. Tom Lee Jones is a lot of fun. It's one of the few times he plays a bad guy. He plays a great bad guy. His name's Stranix. It's like 4 minutes ahead schedule. Damn, I'm good. So then they shoot the captain. Gary Busey shoots the captain. Also one of the bad guys, you have Colm Meaney, which I talked about a past couple of reviews. Like, he was in Con Air. He was like asshole FBI agent. John, always giving John Cusack crap. When it's over, so are you. So are you, you little prick. And also just review the Die Hard. In Die Hard 2, he was one of airplane pilots that William Seller crashed down and they blew up. But he's been in a lot of films, Colm Meaney. He's just been he just happened to be in some of those reviews that I reviewed, and he's in them. But I like Colm Meaney. He can also play a good bad guy as well. But of course, he's also in Star Trek: Next Generation as Miles O'Brien. He's like usually the guy. He's like at the transport. But he also has a supporting role in I think it was Deep Space Nine. I think so. But he's been in lots of TV and movies as well. I like Colm Meaney. And of course, this other bad guy who was one of the henchmen. He's the guy who was also being the fugitive as well. He's like one of the escaped convicts, that helps Harrison Ford out after the train crash. That guy, Culver, whatever his name is. Yeah, he was also one of the escaped convicts too. He's in this as one of the henchmen. I recognize the guy as well. I forget the guy's name. So they take control of the battleship. Steven Seagal is when he's also talking crap with that officer who's going to be in The Fugitive. He's like, you got shiver brains, and also get my pies out of the oven. Yeah, he's always talking about getting his pies out of the oven, which nowadays I'm sure you will have about a lot of pies. It's a sad about Steven Seagal nowadays. It's so sad because I loved him in his 90s films and late 80s films. He'll always be an action star from the 80s and 90s to me, but nowadays he's just it sucks about him nowadays. Sad to say, because I always loved Steven Seagal from the good films he's always done growing up. So, but yeah. So then two of the bad guys get there. They shoot that guard, and Steven Seagal he comes up from this crate, hits one guy, and then he kicks one guy in the face. And he takes one knife and just throws it right into a guy's neck, and gets to the fight with the other guy, and just breaks his neck. He's has him like this, and so. And then he finds the captain dead, and, covers him up, and you see that pissed off look in his eyes. They got him mad. And then he finds Erika Eleniak, doing a little flash, right? Flash of her titties right there. Do a little woo-hoo. Because she was hired to jump out of the cake. And she doesn't know anything what was happening, what was going on. And she's like, who are you? Some special forces guy or something? And he's like, no, I'm just a cook. Just a lowly cook. It's like, oh my god, we're gonna die. And then, and also throughout the film, it cuts between what's going on in the Pentagon. You got Andy Romano, who plays Admiral Bates, who will also who comes back in the sequel. And Under Siege 2, as well as the guy who plays Dale Dye, who plays Captain Garza. He also comes back in the sequel. And Andy Romano, who plays Admiral Bates, he was one of the corrupted bad guys in Arnold Schwarzenegger's film Eraser. It's like, you have been erased, and they get hit by the train. And he was also a little cameo at the beginning of The Fugitive as the judge who sentenced Harrison Ford. So yeah, those two guys, they would come back as well in the sequel. But that's also one thing. So I didn't really care about what was happening in the Pentagon. I just want to focus more on Steven Seagal though. But they're just there just to explain things to us. But what the bad guys' plans are with the tomahawks, because the bad guys they want to offload these tomahawks to sell them, and then they want to use the rest of them to blow up Honolulu. That's basically it. So then, one point where Steven Seagal he contacts them, and they go to this plane where they came in at, and he sets up an explosive, and it's going to Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey. Once again, fun chemistry is for the bad guys, and he's like, Tommy Lee Jones, these things are going to sell like hotcakes. So what do you do when you have this amount of money? And Gary was like, buy the presidency. There's both such lots of fun and great bad guys. I would say one of the best Steven Seagal villains, I would say. Just a great combination with Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey. Just a great combination of bad guys. So he blows up the plane, does a little jump off the ship, and then they take Jordan Tate, and then which Steven Seagal saves her, gets a couple of headshots, and also actually the guy he has a guy that has like a chokehold and shoots him through the back. That's actually Kane Hodder, which also Kane Hodder had a little brief appearance in Out for Justice at the end of the film, where Steven Seagal as Gino, they're gonna raid that where William Forsythe is at, and he starts shooting people with a shotgun. One of the bad guys is also Kane Hodder. He's in there as well. Shoots him, he gets shot with a shotgun. So yeah, so he was in that. So Kane Hodder, he was in that role. The little brief role at the end of Out for Justice, and a little brief role in this one, right, where he holds them and then shoots them through the back. You probably can tell because Kane Hodder has a beard, so one of the bad guys had a beard, and that's Kane Hodder. So yeah, so he killed Jason Voorhees twice. Funny enough. So yeah, and then he takes a grenade to the door, and one guy's opening it and just blows up in their face. And then Gary Busey has a plan to to drown his crew, so he has to risk his life to save them. And then they meet up with other captured crewmates. One of the guys I recognize is Troy Evans. He's been like in little minor roles in other films. If you recognize the guy, who I'm talking about, like a little role in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, and a little more at the end of Halloween 5. He was one of the cop. He was the cop that was looking after Danielle Harris at the Myers house. That Michael Myers hung out the window. So yeah, Troy Evans, I recognize him. Another guy named Raymond Cruz. He was been in roles in other films, like mostly in Alien Resurrection as the character DeStefano, the one with the newborn alien crushes head. That guy. But also little roles too in other films. So you have all these little recognizable actors and some small supporting roles that appear in other films. So. And they turn off the water, and they get gunfights with bad guys to pin down. One other guy on their side gets shot. I think the character's name is Johnson. And then Steven Seagal, he's once again talking with the Pentagon, saying that there's a strike team on the way. He did just help aid them in. And then Steven Seagal gets like 2 guns and starts shooting, blasting bad guys away. Shooting like does like this, side to side, and like this. And then they get this one bad guy, which there's like one of those pieces of the rails, just unties it, falls down and impales one bad guy. A little good bloody effect as well, and hangs one guy upside down. I think it's where this other thing where people are just cutting up the piece of rails, and he gets a knife, he stabs one guy in the neck and then an armpit, and then he pushes one guy into the sawing machine, cuts off a guy's shoulder. That was a nice brutal effect right there. Ugh. So, and then Tommy Lee Jones, looking at all the remains of these dead bad guys, and then the submarine that they rendezvous with to offload the Tomahawks is there. And Steven Seagal, Casey Ryback, he makes a bomb to put in the submarine, blows it up. Well, it doesn't destroy it, just like so they can't submerge. And he gets injured, so one of the guys, on the sub, throws a spike, cuts his back up. And Colm Meaney, he was supposed to shoot him, but then he gets saved by Erika Eleniak. Nice. Shooting against him because she has a little saying she said earlier. It's like, Two rules. I don't date musicians, and I don't kill people. And she shoots Colm Meaney, and then Steven Seagal kind of like smirks. I was like, next thing you know, you'll be dating musicians. So, so nice that she had a little moment to kill one of the main bad guys. So she shoots Colm Meaney. And then the Gary Busey on the sub, they head off. So they plan to use the battleship's large guns to shoot starbursts. And Tommy Lee Jones, he goes out there when they're firing the second time. Just the gun noise just blasts right in his face, sends him flying back. And it's like hurting his ears because he was staying that close to the cannons. Which I imagine that would just like blow out your ears. It's so freaking loud. So then on the third shot, at Gary, they shoot the submarine that Gary Busey's in. He gets blown up. And then Tommy Lee Jones, he starts to go crazy. He starts saying like Looney Tune characters like, "Oh, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, little red fucker with a mustache," which meant Yosemite Sam. That's what he was referring to. And then he's like, "Oh my life, Saturday morning cartoons, the little shrimp with little chaps and cats, bam, bam, bam. Save the lobster from the Swedish cook." So he's like start losing it in the head now, and he tells everybody to clear out and starts shooting the missiles at the Honolulu. He's like, "This little piggy went to market. Piggy went to stay home. This little piggy, oh mama, wee 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 wee." I like that one. This is fun. He's just singing his little tune. La 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 la. Happy trails. He's just such a lot of fun. He's just such a great bad guy. I love Tommy Lee Jones. He's one of my favorite actors. I just love him. You know, this is nice. Usually this bad guy he's dressed up for Tommy. Usually Tommy Lee Jones is wearing a leather jacket, like a neon type of shirt, and he has a mullet and sunglasses. Just a fun bad guy like that, you know. Then the rest they kill the remaining bad guys. And Steven Seagal, like, one point rips out a guy's throat out, a little gruesome death. And even sometimes when Steven Seagal, when he kills bad guys, he gets a little brutal, gets some brutal kills on them, you know. Like, he just rips a guy's throat out, like. And then with Tom Lee Jones. Now, it's probably a lot of people would think though that all of a sudden the son, you know, Tom Lee Jones knows Steven Seagal because he's like. Steven's like, "You look familiar. I know you, don't I? I think you do. It's been a long time." So, which is kind of funny that Tom Lee Jones, he heard when Gary Busey was he was like had the profile on Casey Ryback. He heard the name Casey Ryback and all the stuff his whole military background, like. He didn't bother mentioning to like, "Oh, I knew this guy way back." I don't know why he didn't want to mention it though. That he knew Casey Ryback. Maybe didn't want to mention it because he didn't know he would be. I don't know. He knew him long ago. I don't know why he wanted to mention that though. So, but that's didn't bother me at that though. It's just a side thing. And then they get to a knife fight, which we have another conversation. Someone's just like, "Oh no, there's a difference, my man. You have faith, I don't." They get into a knife fight, and of course, well, then with Steven Seagal, all Steven Seagal's fights is, you know, there's always one side, and everything is in his advantage. You know, like he always gets the upper hand on a lot of bad guys, kills them easily. But it was a decent knife fight, and Tom Lee Jones, he gets like a little cut up on Steven Seagal like above the eyebrow, and then Steven Seagal he just rips his eye out, stabs him in the head, and then puts his head through a computer screen, and saying, "Keep the faith, Stranix." I just love how Steven Seagal sometimes when he kills bad guys, he kills them very brutally. Like, he rips out his eye, then sticks a knife through his head, and then just goes and shoves him to a computer screen. It's like when in Out for Justice, William Forsythe, he just goes and beats the living hell out of him. William Forsythe's all bloodied up and just goes and beats the living hell out of him. First with a frying pan, then wherever a stick thing is, and through a window and just punches to the face, and then sticks a corkscrew to his head. So yeah, Seagal really goes out. That's what I love about all his old early films. Like he really goes brutal and beats the living hell out of all these bad guys, and kills them brutally. And I just love that. I miss that now. But then they get the key. Then they destroy all the remaining missiles, and it frees all the remaining crew. And Casey kisses Jordan, and then they're all at the captain's funeral. Steven Seagal's in front, doing the salute, and you have Gary Chain's music, which I like. I like the score to the film. The ending, da 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 da. I like that was when he's Steven Seagal doing his salute. So yeah. So Under Siege, I just absolutely I just love the film. It's one of his best films. A lot of people would say it's one of his best films. I love the film. It's just as I would put it. I would put this as my third favorite Seagal film because, like I said, Under Siege 2, Dark Territory is my favorite Steven Seagal film. Then second, I would put Out for Justice, and this I would put third. And those are my top 3 favorite Seagal films. So Under Siege 2, then Out for Justice, and then the first Under Siege. But so I love the cast. Steven Seagal, kicks a lot of ass in this film. Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey, great combo villains. A lot of fun between each other. Especially, Tommy Lee Jones, then he starts going crazy and starts singing his little tune and all that. And Gary Busey he always plays a good good douchebag and other films too. So yeah, he plays a good bad guy. He was a good bad guy in the first Lethal Weapon. But I would say I like his role in this as just a little bit more. Because him interacting with Tommy Lee Jones made the two villains work together. Erika Eleniak, I thought she did absolutely fine. She was very nice to look at. But I like that she at least she had a moment. She shoots Colm Meaney. So at least she had a moment there. And even speaking of Colm Meaney, he does fine as well because I like him in other films as well as TV shows. Other supporting ones, like the people at the Pentagon, which I never care for. It's just more focusing on what's happening on the battleship. But like Andy Romano and Dale Dye, which they both would come back in the sequel. Which they were not bad. I like them though, but just the whole side of the Pentagon, it could have left that out and just focus on more what's happening on the battleship. But I enjoy the action. I like the score to the film. It's fast paced. Well, I like the score, like for some of the fights and lots of fun gunfire. Steven Seagal gets 2 guns shooting both ways, and gets some brutal kills. Throwing a knife to a guy in the neck, and then like ripping a guy's throat out, and then especially when he kills Tommy Lee Jones in a brutal death, and well directed by Andrew Davis. He did a great job with the directing. I don't think there's not much for features in here, so yeah, there's just shows just trailers and that's it. So just basically a bare bones DVD. But I'm sure there will never be no special editions. I don't think Seagal won't even talk about stuff like this anymore. So, but yeah. But my 25th anniversary review of the first Under Siege film, I love. Lastly, that Tommy Lee Jones really gets to play a good bad guy, and he was absolutely fun in this. They used a real battleship for the setting. Good good actual explosions as well. But for supporting cast, it's like Tommy Lee Jones, Gary Busey, great bad guys. Erika, Eleniak, perfectly fine. Colm as well, and as well as other supporting characters as well. The score by Gary Chang was good, as well as the director by Andrew Davis. So yeah, one of my favorite Steven Seagal films. I would say it's my third favorite, but nonetheless, I love the film too. So that's my 25th anniversary movie review of the first Under Siege film. Then stay tuned for the next review, which I'll get to reviewing my favorite Steven Seagal film, as well as my brother's, which we just both loved watching growing up together. The film that introduced us to Steven Seagal. So stay tuned on the next review for the sequel, Under Siege 2, Dark Territory. We're going to have a lot of fun with that review. But as nonetheless, 25th anniversary review of the first Under Siege film, definite thumbs up. Love the film to death still. Still an action classic from the 90s. Still one of Seagal's best films. But thanks for watching and stay tuned on the next movie review. Later.